Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. Grape juice at communion. That's the subject of today's Higher Things video short. Hey, if you love our videos, if you are learning about your Christian faith in places you never expected to learn about your faith from, a Missouri Synod Lutheran pastor, and his Jack Russell Terrier named Thor, who catches as great as an LSU receiver, go ahead and like and subscribe today. You can also go to support.higherthings.org and give today. Your tax-deductible gift keeps Higher Things, an organization all about passing the faith to the next generation. We equipped parents, pastors, and laity to pass that faith on. If you're an adult watching this, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty as an adult. We're equipping you to pass the faith on to the young people. And if you're a young person, it's for you. What we do is for you. So go ahead and listen. Subscribe today and give today. So, the Lord turns water into good wine. Water into wine. Not water into Welch's, not water into non-alcoholic wine. He changes water into wine. That's what we celebrate last week, or if you carried it over this week, water into good wine. My son can wait to talk to me. So, when the Lord took the cup, gave thanks, and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take and drink. This is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for you for the remission of sins." In that cup was not grape juice. In fact, grape juice didn't exist in the ancient world. The ability to extract a liquid from grapes and it not ferment and not become alcohol is simply not possible in the ancient world. That takes us today. So, in the cup at the Lord's Supper is wine. When he institutes it, wine, which he says is his body, which he says is his blood. That is true for 1,800 years. 19. Until grape juice. And then the strange idea that somehow Jesus is anti-wine, which he's not. I mean, that doesn't happen at Cana. "I'm sorry, Mom, I can't change water into wine because drinking's bad. So I'm going to have to change water into Welch's." That would be a greater miracle than changing water into wine, because grape juice. But we know it was wine, and we know it was good wine. He says it was good wine, and therefore not grape juice. Good catch, buddy. Why would we do this? Well, we do this because we're worried about alcoholism. We do this because we're worried about drinking. We do this because alcohol's not a sin. Drunkenness is a sin. Alcohol was given by God as a gift. Psalm 104:15. Wine given to gladden the heart of men. Gladden the party, that's John 2. So when he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, it was wine, which he called his blood. And so is simply not according to the mandate and institution of Christ to use grape juice or non-alcoholic wine. So what do you do if you're an alcoholic? What do you do if you've got a drinking problem? What do you do if you don't want alcohol? Well, you can do two things. What you can't do, first off, is change the mandate and institution of Christ to something else other, because it introduces doubt into the institution. Also, if you're making a cake and the ingredients call for 2 cups of sugar, and you put 2 cups of salt in there because they're both white and powdery, your cake's gonna not work out for you. You gotta stick to the recipe. The same with the Lord's institution. There's wine in the cup. He calls the wine his blood. That's what he did. Exactamundo. Now I'm going to distract you by putting the treat there. Nope. Nope. Oh, he's going to do it. He's got it. Oh. Anyway, so what do you do? What do you do? Well, here's what you do. You have two options. If you don't want to drink alcohol at the Lord's Supper, you have two options. The first is to ask your pastor to dilute the blood of Christ. Blood and water flowed from his pierced side, so your pastor can simply take a drop of wine or a littlest bit of wine and dilute it all down to, just 1 part per, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Or you can just commune in one kind. Either one is permissible. What's not permissible is to change the mandate and institution of Christ. My father was an alcoholic, so I get it. I mean, he stopped drinking because his second son told him, his namesake told him, that I believe you can quit, Dad. He said, nobody believes I'm going to quit. I said, well, I believe you're going to quit, Dad. And at the end of his life, he said, I could drink, Dad. I could drink, but I don't have any desire to. What was the substance wasn't the problem. He was the problem. And so I feel you. If you are suffering from, or you have a loved one who's suffering from abusing substances. And so let's work around it. Let's work around it, but let's not change what the Lord intended in order to work around it. Because it's not my supper. It's the Lord's Supper. I don't get to determine what's there. He determined what was there. And he don't have a problem with wine. He has a problem with drunkenness. He doesn't even have a problem with you being happy while you drink wine. He gave wine to gladden your heart. And he gave the sacrament to forgive your sins. And so what I would say is simply take one of the two options. Don't change the institution of Christ. I'm not comfortable with that. It puts doubt into the equation because something has changed. Instead, either pray to God for strength because the small sip of wine out of the context of drinking to get drunk is different than drinking to get drunk. But if that's an issue, a drop of wine, diluted, or commune with one kind until you are at the place in which this is not going to tempt you to fall off the wagon. Because the supper is not about taking alcohol. The supper is about Jesus giving you his body and blood. And Thor with the squeaker means even if I wasn't done, I'm done now. I'm Pastor George Borkart, and this has been another Higher Things video short.